Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Overtime Champions EU Finals. Today we have Volatile versus Violet for the last game of Season 4 for this division. I'm your production host tonight, Bryce T. Joining me in the play-by-play is Sunhawk, and color is HX9. Guys, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great, Bryce. I'm really excited to be here to cast the EU finals of Volatile versus Violet. And starting off here, this is a match that I've been looking forward to all week. It's the very last game, and I believe one of these teams is even undefeated this season.
That is
Yeah, Volatile.
Volatile slash Raijin. They did change their name along with some org changes, but despite that, they are here in the finals with us today, and our first map is Lijiang Tower. HX9, what do you think of this map?
The Lijiang Tower is just one of my favorites. I say it every time it comes up, but I will say it again. Lijiang Tower has one of the most diverse compositions available to it across all three of its maps, if we're lucky enough to see all three of its maps. And we're going to start off here on the Night Market, and the Night Market is host to both the dive compositions and the ground compositions, like your Reinhardt Zaryas, and your Winston Diva combos there, as well as all sorts of DPS heroes here, Sunhawk.
Yeah, all the DPS heroes, especially Pharah, on most of Lijiang Tower, especially this and Gardens. So we do see Crazy on that Pharah right now, but they are still in spawn, so don't put too much weight on these team compositions. Like you said, dive comps and grounded pound comps are good to go because you have this open area. Then you have this slightly more enclosed area on your way to point and actually on the point.
Yeah, it's good to play to your strengths on this one based on what DPS you have, based on what tanks you have, what everyone's comfortable on. If you go with the dive composition, you might play a little bit more outdoors, try to stop them from getting to the point to begin with, whereas if you play the ground and pound, as you called it, Sunhawk composition, then you might want to just try to get to that point a little bit faster, so each one has a different goal. But it does look like both teams are opting for the Rein Zarya strategies. We do have our standard Mercy Zenyatta, support changes coming soon, folks, and we have Pharah on one side, but a Doomfist on the other.
So it's mirror comps except for this Pharah and this Doomfist. So let's see how the Pharah and Doomfist can affect this match. And let's see, both teams moving right on the point. It seems that Volatile is just going to decide to go the long route along this point. They got to be careful for that Pharah boop, though. If not all of them make it in time, but they are able to make it. So it's just going to be a brawl on the point now. Fire Strike coming in. And Niffle's going to be able to take out the first one, but both Zenyatas are traded, and it seems that Volatile has the point control, but there's the Pharah there trying to disrupt it. And it seems like the Pharah's not going to be able to get anything done, and Volatile is going to take the point after rotating along the back to get onto the point first.
So this is one of those times where Pharah, one of the best heroes in Lijiang Tower for two of the maps for sure, and it's even sometimes using the other one, is just not able to really get a whole lot of damage in there. There's not very great angles to shoot onto this point, but Doomfist, on the other hand, he can knock people into all sorts of walls on the point. So they were able to take the point very quickly, hold it there, and basically prevent any damage and destroy anyone who came inside.
See Chico taking this a long flank around, going to be looking to try and get a support pick off, but the Hanzo's looking his way. He hits a body shot, forcing him to back off, and now it seems that Violet has moved on to the point. They're moving slowly onto the point, but they're giving Chico too much time to do work in this backline. Now they're going to be forced to back up and try and deal with him, and they can't finish him off. He's able to get away. That has been huge from Chico. He's going to win the fight single-handedly.
That's just how it goes when you have this point control. Again, Pharah just not able to really connect a whole lot, but these supports here too are just so well protected. Now, Ira Big Boy did take a shot there. That's kind of what you need to do if you were in this Pharah right now. You have to try to find those supports in the back. Try to find some angle you can shoot in there. Maybe even if you're Hanzo too. We do see that the Graviton combo is coming up for them, but it is already available on the other side. The Space Jam. Oh! Chico goes down real early.
That disables the Space Jam. This Pharah is extremely low coming in, and she still decides to top the barrage, but she is not going to be able to get it. The Pharah got right-clicked and then discorded while you're barraging. That's not when you want to barrage right in the Zenyatta's face. but you do see that Violet has the ultimate advantage.
One push left here for him. Mr. Dream's gonna have to get this all quickly or it's all gonna be over.
And there's a shatter into a Dragon Strike. The Transcendence is there to save everyone except I Am Mercy Man. And now there's a shatter from Paporis. And he's going to be able to take out the enemy Reinhardt. And now there's a Transcendence pop just to be able to get them all on to this point. And it seems like they have all positioned well on this point, and the fight is going their way. So it's going to be 99-0. Violet has no room for mistakes.
Oh, it all came down to that Dragon Strike. Easy peasy popping it as early as he could because he knew there might not be time for Dream to get that his ultimate, that Graviton Surge available. So he got through the wall, and unfortunately for I Am Mercy Main, he was just standing in the wrong place at the wrong time, got picked off, and without that extra healing available, the rest of Volatile crumbled.
And it seems that Volatile are going to be going for this high ground approach, and KNF is paying off, killing Crazy, but there's a Graviton Surge from Violet, and it seems like it's not going to pay off. It's only going to get one pick, and now it's a pretty messy fight at this point, but there is a res from Angel, but that could cost her her life. Nope, there's a personal bubble there. So, if we take a look at the ultimates, I Am Mercy Man has that ult. KNF is so close to that ultimate, but Violet seems like they won this fight hardly.
Oh, that was a bit of a mess there. A lot of ultimates used. Crazy now swapping off to this Genji to try to get in some extra damage here. Definitely, just, that Pharah wasn't really paying off, wasn't really able to get a whole lot going there, so now that's probably a good pick here. But now, tons of ultimates available on side of Volatile. Really, it's their game to lose at this point. They just got to make it through this door somehow here, Sunon.
Somehow is a lot easier than it sounds, but ultimates are there from Volatile. There should be a grab dragon coming in. Here's the grab, and there's the dragon. There's a shatter from Eric, but it's not gonna be able to do really anything as KNF gets a 5K.
That's just gonna be it. That's gonna be a point in the cap, and the first round going to Volatile. And wow, what a great read by Niffle there. He actually was able to launch that Graviton Surge in such a way that Crazy, even though he had his deflect up, we heard the sound effect go off there, it missed. It didn't actually hit the Graviton. He read that there were 4 people behind that Reinhardt shield, went to the left of it, got them all in it, and that got him the point in a situation where otherwise they could have been pretty well spread out. So now Violet's got to come back here and find a different angle of attack here. Maybe if they start out without that Pharah here, maybe that'll be what they need. Maybe it's just the kind of different comp that they can run with to get the better hand over Volatile.
And this is the one stage of Lijiang where Pharah will not really work out, but Violet is going to be that ever so popular GOATS comp with the 310, the triple tank, triple support, that Brigitte, Moira, Lucio, their comp. Let's get right into this fight.
Volatile has that Junkrat. That's a common counter to this GOAT comp.
Yeah, Junkrat can just lay down so much damage. Moira can't heal it up, but it seems that Niffle is really low, and he's about to go down, but he does get healed up, and it seems like they're going to be able to sustain, but the GOATS comp is already on the point. That is what GOATS is for. You can just go stand on the point and use your tankiness to control it, and just like that, without even winning the fight, they're on the point, and now they're going to play aggressive and try and win this fight.
Here's that tire coming out really early, and that's exactly why you run this Junkrat into this comp. Grabs Angel in the back, but it's going to be a tough fight without that Mercy available.
Yeah, it seems like that tire came in just too late, or even too early if you want to call it that, for the next fight. The picks that they get won't really matter because he did pick Lucio. He has that wall ride, so he can get back faster than really almost anyone. But we do see Eric. He has his shatter, and Oppose is close to his as well. Let's see. Eric can bait his shield, or if he can just walk right past it and get this shatter going. Dragon Strike is in, and a shatter from the side of Violet. Not Violet, Volatile, but Violet does shatter, and they're not going to be able to get anything because of the Transcending Zenyatta, but Eric's going to be able to charge away the Transcending Zenyatta, trying to help his team out. Without that unlimited healing, hopefully his team could win something, but there was no picks. And now it's just 2 Reinhardt swinging on each other in this back room. There's a Moira there to support, and it seems that Violet is winning this fight.
Oh yeah. I mean, they just got it there. They seem like they're much more comfortable on this ground kind of comp than Volatile is on this map. And now they've swapped to this Reaper off the Junkrat, because Junkrat tires actually have had very little effect in this game. One being probably a little too early, as you said, and one probably being just a little ineffective. But now, Purpose getting Eric, who's out of position, this looks like a good push here for them.
And they popped the beat to try and save Eric, but it was just a tiny bit too late. And now you see Crazy going down to that Reaper. The Reaper swapped to take out the 3 tanks, and then the Hanzo to pick off the squishy supports. And it seems like that's exactly what is going to happen. Volatile seems that they have won this fight. It's all blue in the kill feed. It seems like they're gonna flip it 0-99.
Yeah, putting Roadhog on the point there at the end is a little bit of a tiny mistake. He's going to end up with 4 extra seconds on his res timer, which means they're going to regroup a little bit later. We'll see if that actually has a big impact. Looks like they're going to go around the back here, try to get better positioning here. This is what you want to do when you're running against a Reaper. You don't really want to be in too close of quarters. Also, they know that the combo is coming, and they got to kind of spread out a little bit more if they want to survive it.
Yeah, that Grab Dragon, they have no Transcendence to block it. There we go, there are about 3 caught in that, and it seems like they're only going to be able to get 1 with it, but everyone is low, so they practically have already won the fight. And you see that Easy Peasy is going towards his own spawn, just waiting to reset.
Oh yeah, but now look at these ults. That was the economy push there, Sunnock, and now they have a lot of ults to work with here. They've got Reinhardt, they got Brigitte, which is a huge one, especially when you got a Zarya on the deck, and they got the Roadhog ult as well. Coalescence too from Maggie N. They can use all of these here. On the other side though, there is a Transcendence. That's the one we're going to be looking out for here.
And Easy Peasy pops the rally to try and keep his team up. Although he's kind of away from his team, trying to solo this Hanzo with a Mercy healing on him. But it seems he's going to be able to get it, and there are trades going on in the meantime on the point, but it seems that Violet is being pushed off the point, and Easy Peasy is going to have to practically feed there because he's too deep for that Hanzo. And there's the Transcendence from IR Big Boy, but it doesn't look like it's going to really matter much. Eric goes for the last second shatter, but it seems that Volatile are going to continue to hold this point, especially with that grab and a high energy Zarya, and they pop the dragon in there just in case.
Oh, you know, the ults just weren't coordinated there. They were kind of trying to spread them out really early, and that ended up just not working in their favor. They gave Volatile a lot of time to really just regroup and get their ults together. Just use their ults one by one as counters to the other ults, or even just a shield on the Reaper ult, for example. You know, the shield stopping Volatile's Reaper ult, rather. So the Reaper ult kind of countered one set of ults, the Transcendence countered another. And look, as we see here, this is just the power of Hanzo. Look at him shoot his Mercy out of the air.
He did miss a tiny bit, but doesn't matter. He already got the Grab Dragon and got another, so it's not like it mattered. You see that there were 2 Zarya players on the side of Volatile. But the next Smash type we will be headed into is Escort. It is going to be Volatile is going to get a ban, and then Violet is going to get to pick the map, any other map than the map that is banned.
Right, and with escort maps here, you know, I'd be expecting to see an escort map that plays down the Rein Zarya here from their pick. So a ban, okay, so we do see a ban on Junkertown. That is definitely a map where we will see a lot of dive, especially in Phase 3. So they're already trying to stop. Volatile's already trying to stop any kind of dive compositions from coming in here. Now, Violet has an opportunity, though, to pick a different map that favors dive. Dorado would be a good one, for example. Route 66, also very strong for dive. So they do have some options here that maybe they want to pick one, not based on the dive so much, but based on what DPS are strong on those maps.
Yeah, we could see that they can run that Rein Zarya. They just had a tiny bit of trouble dealing with Goat's comp. But if you do see a map that has more dive and you can't run that Goat's comp, then really they could possibly win this with their Rein Zarya into a dive. And they're going to go on to Route 66, as you were saying, a dive-heavy map.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, there aren't that many maps that they have really to pick from here. So 2 of the 3, I think, were good. Rialto is the one where I would be a little hesitant to go with it there in this situation. It's definitely a lot more favoriting the ground troops as opposed to the flying monkeys and flying mechs that we love to see with Dive. But with Route 66, this one is much unlike Dorado. Route 66 has a couple places where Widow isn't nearly as strong. The final stretch of it, of course, is one of them. But on offense, Widow's a little bit weaker than on Dorado, whereas there are some great angles for Widow to take on that map. So I think they might be trying to play around, just maybe play around a little bit of the Widowmaker plays here, Son-Hawk.
That we did not see any Widowmaker on Lijiang because there isn't very many good Widowmaker maps on Lijiang Tower. You could argue that Gardens is, but we didn't even get to see Gardens. So we will get a new look at these DPS players from the perspective of a Widow player. We saw KNF on the Hanzo, but now he is on this Widow, and Chico is on the Hanzo. So we are expecting some huge sniper duels.
Yeah, this is pretty much the Season 10 special comp right here on the defense. We do see the Hanzo Widowmaker, as you said there, Sunhawk, and that is just because the range damage on them is very strong. They don't have the same kind of fall-off damage that McCree, Soldier, and Bastion, and some of the other heroes do. Now, that is changing in the next patch, we should note, so we might actually see a little bit less of the, what I call the Season 10 comp here, the Hanzo Widowmaker combination with this Rein, Zarya, Mercy, Zenyatta. Lots of changes on the way. Now, what's interesting here is, though, as Season 10 has evolved, we've started to see this, the Genji, start to take some shape into this, where these dive comps have actually made a little bit of their way back in, because Genji just happens to be pretty good against these snipers.
Yeah, Genji with that deflect can deflect the shot right back into your face, and we will see that Volatile is going to be holding on Big Earls, and Widow going for an aggressive jump shot.
Yeah, those are what now the disadvantage here. Remember, Widowmaker is a lot better on defense than on offense on this map. It's very hard to get good angles on the offense, and that's the difference between this and Dorado.
Yeah, we see Easy Peasy going for the huge jump shot on KNF and hits it, and that's going to open up the dive. That is the signal to go, but I Am Mercy is going to get the res, and it seems that Easy Peasy is going to continue to go off. Crazy is in the backline. He is low, and there we go. Chico's going to be able to take him out, and Angel's just going to have to fly back. It seems that Volatile is somewhat stabilizing, but they need to start moving back towards this point if they want to be able to do something about this fight.
Yeah, Route 66 tends to trap you here. As soon as you get that payload around the corner, lose a few people, then the dive comes back. Great disengage here, though, by Violet, making sure that they regrouped to 6. Didn't feed a lot of ult charges here, and you'll see it pays off a little bit for them. Their Genji, though, a little bit behind, I would say, in terms of the ult economy. He's got to get his ult before Zenyatta does, so he's just slightly ahead of him, but not as much ahead as you'd like at this point.
Yeah, we need to see a big shatter here from Volatile's Reinhardt, and it seems that they're just going to be backing up and giving the space to this dive comp who has taken over the top of the Earls. That is a huge advantage for Violet, and now they're going to be diving onto the Zenyatta, and Crazy is going to finish up the Mercy. But that's all they're going to get. That is the only pick they're going to get. Mercy can out-res her health, however, so Ira Big Boy is going to be the only source of healing that they have, and it doesn't seem like it's going to matter very much as KNF finishes off Crazy with a stagger.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Crazy is going to get his ultimate after IR Big Boy, so the Zenyatta Genji interaction here will be pretty much a wash at this point. One of the disadvantages there of diving in like they did is they are diving into all 6 of them at that point, which means everyone can just turn on those tanks and just blow them up. One of the ways that Dive deals with that is to push the payload a little bit more passively and force them to come to force the defense to come to them.
And there's a dive from Eric, and he's just going to land on Mercy Main and kill her with that. And here comes the Dragon Blade. As you said, there's the Transcendence, so not much is going to be able to happen. Chico is going to finish off Eric and Angel, and then he's going to have to get away from the Diva Bomb, but that's a huge 3K. That could really open up the fight, but there is no healing there, so it's just Mr. Dreams, Easy Peasy, and Crazy to try and win this fight, and it seems like they might have a chance.
Well, they're definitely going to try to clean up here. They're going to have the advantage, especially after taking out that diva. But there are a few reinforcements here. We'll see how. Oh, but can't have taking out easy peasy. I think that might end the push.
That should end the push. The question is, will it? And there's the dive on top of this high ground. They are now reclaiming all of this space. They are now taking the top of Big Earls, which, when you have the top of Big Earls, that is an extreme advantage. Crazy's going to be able to take out Chico before he has to get out. But there is the res, and it seems like Volatile may lose this point. They only have 35 seconds left to defend, and it seems, oh, easy peasy's going to take down her Pupus. And right as he shatters, he does get the shatter, but he's not going to be able to do anything with it because he's going to get headshot by the Widow. But Chico is the saving grace of this team. He's trying to clean up everything on the point, and it seems like with the Mercy pocket, he's going to survive, but Crazy hits the right-click dash combo to one-shot him. The Mercy goes for the rest and is able to get it, and it seems that they still do have a chance. If they can hold it here, then it will be the first round. It'll be a full hold, and it seems like they are going to be able to. They just got to clean up this Primal Rage Winston, and that is going to be it. Volatile is going to full hold them with about 3 meters left on the point.
Now that last push there, Sanok, was over a minute long, and we do not like to see that in Overwatch. You want to try to get that regroup a little quickly, and we got to remember that it all started with a Genji ult. It all started with, a leap, a dive right onto that Mercy, killing her. But then Genji popped his ultimate, which prompted Zenyatta to pop Transcendence. And that's kind of a misuse of your ultimate there. There's an old saying in the Overwatch community that no one says but me, of course, and that is, if you never pop your Genji ult, Zenyatta will never pop Transcendence. And in that case, your team can just kind of use their regular abilities to finish off the enemy. Or, in better case, he pops the Transcendence, then you got the Blade to follow up. Didn't follow that way, though, and with a massive stagger, Violet was able to hold that. Volatile was able to hold that. All right, well, now it's up to Volatile here, just to take it a little bit of the distance at this point. They only have to make it to the front door with a little bit of change to spare there. And it looks like they're just going to opt to go with this Ryan Zarya play that they've been a little bit stronger with. Meanwhile, on the defense, we see a triple tank solo heal composition. This has started to become a little bit more popular on these payload maps, and that's because you have the Orisa and you have the Roadhog, which both have this great ability to keep themselves up. The Orisa shields prevent her from taking a whole lot of damage. A Roadhog can vape, as they call it, or more appropriately call it, we call it the, I don't even remember what the original name is.
Take a breather.
Take a breather. So he can take a breather, get a whole lot of extra healing there, and so now Mercy really only has to focus on a few targets.
Yeah, this comp is most popularly used by Philadelphia Fusion, which are going to the finals against London Spitfire soon. But we're not worried about that game right now. We're worried about this game, the EU finals, and it seems that they're going to be running that triple tank, like you were saying, on top of Big Earls. If they lose control of Big Earls, they practically lose control of the entire area of the first point, because this is the main high ground. You got to look out for Chico on this Tracer, because he's going to be taking these super long flanks and trying to be disrupting this high ground control. He's on this Mercy, and the Mercy's won, but Mr. Dreams is there to protect it. So Violet's going to take an early 2 picks. One is going to get rezzed, but it seems like Volatile is going to have to back up at least a tiny bit. There we go. Now they're being cleaned up, so they're going to have to back up.
Gotta call out the tanks on this one, because not only did Mr. Dreams, stop Chico from really making a lot of progress there, but the patience of Eric and how he's placed his shields here has been integral in just creating this barrier and giving his DPS time, giving Crazy and Easy Peasy time to do what they need to do. That's the you see the DPS on the kill feed, you often don't see the tanks on it as much, but they are very well the #1 force in how that defense apply pressure to the offense.
And Chico is going to be switching on to the Doomfist to try and get some high ground pressure so that they can dislodge them from Big Earls. If they can get them off of Big Earls, it's practically gonna be over.
Yeah, it definitely is, and one of the advantages of Doomfist is Orisa shield doesn't stop him. Oh, big hammer!
Big slam from Propose, but they're only going to be able to get one off of it. It seems like they are going to be able to take space with it. However, positioning is almost just as important as picks. Dragon Strike is popped, but there's the Transcendence there from IR Big Boy, and I Am Mercy pops the Transcendence to res, get that res, and it's the Diva Bomb is popped on the point to try and stall, but it's going to get blocked by that 2000 HP shield, and it seems that Volatile is going to be able to get this first point despite all of the stagger.
Oh yeah, I mean, just an amazing use of ultimates there. The hammer down, Mr. Dreams trying to come in here with the whole hog. It's not going to be enough though. That's going to be the final push there.
Winston is still on, but that's it. Winston only has 500 HP plus the 600 HP bubble. Not much to dig through when there's 6 players shooting / swinging a large hammer at you. Play the game brought to you by Mr. Dream with this 3k Diva Bomb. Despite this 3k Diva Bomb, however, they still did lose the fight. It almost brought it back. It brought the fight to a 3v3, but they still did lose the fight. Props to Mr. Dream.
Yeah, definitely difficult to get through that Reinhardt shield from Papoose, who, just was doing an amazing job this entire game. But IR Big Boy, look at this, getting that massive amount of Transcendence healing, too, in this game. Which, not all of it was Genji Blades and exciting, frilly things. It was a lot of regular damage, too. So, good job on him for his great ultimate usage. All right, well, that's going to bring us to halftime here.
And we are going to send it to our production host, Mr. Bryce T.
Thank you. And what a fantastic 2 matches we've seen so far. On Lijiang, we saw a lot of 99% overtime being thrown back to the team. Volatile really showing that they really showing that fire that they brought through the open division, being undefeated up until this point. But this does bring brings a lot of questions of what does Violet need to do to sort of react better to Volatile situation, HX9 or Sunhawk?
Well, basically at this point, there's a lot of it has to do with just ultimate usage, the proper timing and proper just economy of your ultimates, as we call it, your ult economy. And that means that they need to coordinate better when they're going to use ults and when they're going to save their ults for the next push. And also, they need to get more pushes in, too. We did see at the very end of Route 66 this 1.5-minute long push by them that basically resulted in absolute nothing, just in 1.5 minutes being gone, and a lot of it had to do with just how they use their ultimates. They could have definitely used a couple of ultimates a couple different ways. The Diva Bomb nearly brought them back, but imagine in a world where they saved that Diva Bomb, or where they saved that Genji Blade for a proper usage, or if they just kind of poked after that Mercy pick. I think it would have been a different game at that point.
Exactly. A lot of what we see in OTC especially is a lot of the teams are pretty evenly matched when it comes to those inner ult fights. But as you said earlier, Volatile is being a couple steps ahead of Violet when it comes to being able to combo their ults. With Niffle on the Zarya and KNF on that Hanzo, we saw a lot of really good dragon surges coming out on Volatile side, while on Violet it seems like they were kind of struggling a little bit, and at the same time it seems like they're also just struggling to react when it comes to them being pushed, because Volatile, as their name implies, they can be very aggressive in their pushes, and Violet just seems like they need to have a little bit better response. So going into Numbani, we saw Violet on the dive comp. What do you think Volatile is going to do in response to seeing that dive being played against them again?
Well, I think at this point, their response needs to be, if they see dive coming in, it's just they need to tighten up a little bit of the ship there when it comes to where their positioning is. Their Mercy getting picked off really early in that fight was just a result of her being up top on Big Earls when the rest of the team was kind of at the bottom. And that's what dive looks for, right? It looks for those openings. So don't leave those openings. Now, you can't always prevent all openings, though, here, Bryce. Sometimes, you got to defend the payload, and that leaves you exposed in terms of being too far forward, or you have to not be on the payload because there's a whole lot of flak cannons flying around everywhere, bullets spraying everywhere, and you can't just stay there as a support. So you got to create the openings by pushing the payload forward. You got to try to prevent the openings by staying in a tight-knit group, and so they can prevent the dive by doing that.
Mm-hmm. And something that I heard you guys mention a lot of is the Widow battles that we're seeing, and especially with Easy Peasy on that Widowmaker, especially when you're running a double sniper comp or you're running with a Widow on the field, the pace of the next battle is most of the time set by that Widowmaker's first pick. So if you're running up against the Widowmaker, that's who you want to be able to shut down first. Or if you're, as you're saying, you want to make sure that you don't have those sightlines open, because if the Widowmaker isn't going to get that shot in, then you're definitely going to be seeing that Winston or that D.Va trying to fill in that hole that you're leaving open. And that's definitely something that Volatile is going to have to react to a little bit better, because we were seeing a bit of a Widowmaker fight, but a lot of when Violet was able to push the payload away from Volatile, it was because Easy Peasy got that first pick in, and then he was able to get not only one pick, but he was able to get another, and that really left Volatile with, they were down a player, even though they got the res back in.
Absolutely, and I think right now, it's no matter what your strategy is, right? If you've got the New England Patriot, you got like a huge football team against your high school football team, then they're going to run you over just with their physical ability, and that's same way with Widowmakers a lot in Overwatch and in other games too. There's that same overpowering effect of having the stronger mechanics, and Widowmaker is one of those roles that you can play, one of those positions you can play where you can just basically overpower the other team, but. What's interesting in this case was, even though they had that overpowering force, I think Easy Peasy definitely got the best of Volatile there in a lot of different situations. Even though they had that, though, the strategy, the follow-up on it was always a little bit weak. So that's where they need to tighten up the strategy, because you can have one big guy on your team, you can have that one guy running the football down the whole map, but if 20 people jump on him, they are going to take him down regardless. So a little bit of strategy can go a long way in preventing stronger mechanics.
Exactly. What I think Violet needs to do is just, like as you said, buckle down a little bit, clear up the comms, because that seems like there's a bit of a discrepancy between their ult tracking and positioning and a lot of that. And as long as, it's definitely has not been, even though the scores have been so far, it's been Violet has walked away with a 2-0 lead on Lijiang, and they managed to get that first hold on Route 66. The teams, again, are evenly matched. It's just coming down to a little bit more work in communication and positioning on Violet's side. But, it's still early into this series. It is still possible for more matches to this. So we're going to get a quick ready from the teams to get started on Numbani. HX9 or something, get any more comments before we get this next match started?
Yeah, what I'm excited to see here, Bryce, my last thing here is the song and dance. Like you said, the alt tracking, if you will. I want to see that song and dance improve between the Genji and the Zenyatta. Right now, IR Big Boy, the Zenyatta player, is getting the best of the Genji there. Was it Crazy? I think it was Crazy or Cheap.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, Crazy. Yeah. So getting the best of Crazy there. So now it's time for Crazy to kind of step it up, and the rest of the team can help him too. Everyone can help track ults. It's not one person's job to track all the ultimates on the other team. So figure out that interplay. If they can get that part of their dive tightened up, I think they're going to actually be able to get a lot more success in this round.
Mm-hmm. And Sanok, any other comments?
I would just like to remind everyone that this is a best of 5, so if Volatile wins this map, they do continue their undefeated season and win the finals. That is all I wanted to say.
All right, well, while we wait to get one last ready, and here it goes. So we're going to get started on Numbani, throw it back to you guys, and let's see if Violet can step up and, tighten up a little bit more around the field. HX9, Sunhawk, take it away.
Thank you. And it seems that Numbani is our hybrid map for today. Hybrid, you get the best of both worlds. You get that first control point, and then you have 2 stages of that escort, which can sometimes can make you vary your team's comps, especially, I like to say, Eichenwald is the best at doing that. But we are here on Numbani. HX9, what do you expect to see?
Well, Numbani, again, accentuates the dive, whereas, like you mentioned, Eichenwald definitely accentuates a little bit less of the dive in the first part of the map. It's all about this first point in hybrid maps. This is what's most interesting about them. What differentiates them from payload maps especially, or from escort maps by themselves. Hybrid is both the escort and the control point that you have. So this first control point is very different in the different hybrid maps. And this one, dive. So Violet, once again, is going to try this dive composition. We see them already hovering on it here. They've got pretty much the same comp they ran on Route 66. And meanwhile, on the defense, we do have, again, kind of that season 10 special, but now it's the evolution of it. I'll call this maybe the season 11 special for now, or the early season 11 with this Genji. So it looks like I'm not actually 100% sure why this Genji is on the defense. It's a little bit of a throw. I don't think I've seen this comp before on defense here, Sana.
I have not, at least in my comp matches, but we will see how it works out. If they're going to play hyper aggressive, which they might need to do if they're going against this dive, a Genji would be good for the hyper aggression. So let's see how it goes.
Absolutely. So hopefully we'll see maybe that Genji, maybe the aim is to take easy peasy out. Maybe they're trying to like pad themselves a little bit here so that this Widowmaker doesn't get a whole lot of value on the side.
Chico's just going to go for some early pick so that he can try and build his Dragon Blade faster than Maggie. But they're all just playing around this corner, and in comes the dive from the Winston. The Widowmaker is alone, but Chico is there to help out, and there's the bubble to save Chico. Chico almost went down trying to save KNF, but now Volatile has to move towards the point. Violet already getting one tick. I'm sure that they are okay with that for now. And it seems that Volatile is going to be forced to move on to the point. They're going to move on to the point, but they're going to lose Chico in the process. They're lucky that IR Big Boy was able to take out easy peasy. KNF almost already to this infra site. It's a headshot on easy peasy. Head hits another. And now it seems that it's just cleanup for Volatile.
They were able to take the tick here, though, and Violet now showing kind of why they like this dive composition. They pushed into the back there, were able to create space and get time on the payload. But after, or on the control point rather, well, the payload on the control point, of course, but after that, they kind of fell apart there. They lost track of what they were doing, their focus fire. And as Papoose came around this one side and the rest of the team came out the other, they seemed a little confused and divided. So now it's time to get the focus fire back on track.
And Easy Peasy's gonna open it up with that pick, and this Winston is extremely low, but KNF is also low as he gets dived, and it seems like this is gonna be a pretty open and close fight for Violet. They're just gonna walk on and take 5 picks.
That's the focus fire I was just talking about. They got that early pick from Easy Peasy, then they all went together to take out KNF. Eric leading the charge on that. That's what we need to see, and now they might want to try to push forward a little bit here. Looks like there's a little bit of a split res at this point.
Yeah, there seems to be that spawn delay, not the spawn delay, but the split spawns, as you said. But KNF is making up for it. He's going to get that early pick on Easy Peasy. Eric's going to go to the back line but get charged, so he's forced to pop that primal range, something that you wouldn't necessarily want to pop in this fight since you don't have that many ults. It seems like it is going to pay off, however, with winning the fight.
And this is the point where, this point 2 of all these escort maps and hybrid maps is always the one where you usually have the advantage on attack. So getting a couple kills early just splits the team up even more, and your reinforcements, as you can see, will be back much quicker.
The reinforcements that you need, a 6v6 is much better than a 5v6. Make that a 5v5 now. Rav Dragon Blade is going to come out, and the Transcendence is going to be there just a bit too late, and that's going to give Volatile back point control.
Well, yeah, and it all is off the back of Chico kind of getting taken down pretty early there. And without the Genji, you don't have that deflect on that deflect opportunity for that Graviton Surf. So it came out, took him down. But at this point, though, this isn't a whole lot of ult economy here that they have to go against. So now I think they can just kind of push with regular abilities here. The Transcendence is what they have to look out for.
Easy Peasy getting the opening pick since he does have that infra sight. It makes it a little bit easier. And Mr. Dreams is going to get the pick with the Diva Bomb. And it seems like that's going to be the key to go for this dive. As soon as they get back in mech, they dive it. And it seems like Violet's going to win right back this fight. And they should be able to push this through the third point. There is a high charge Zarya there with a Pocket Mercy. So they could be able to get a stall still. Actually, nope, they're just gonna back up.
I'm not sure about that ultimate from our big boy. He was looking so much better on Route 66, but here he kind of got run over and had to maybe pop his ultimate there out of just instinct. But now it's not available, and Crazy is sitting at 95% charge. This next fight is going to be incredibly difficult for the defense.
And Niffle, with the insane tracking, is able to get Crazy jumping around and get his grab. So they are going to be able to open up the opportunity for Chico to get 3 and KNF to get a 4th and open and close this fight with that grab.
Yeah, and that's going to bring our big boy 50% towards his ult again. Watching this Genji Transcendence interplay here, but there are a lot of other ultimates here that can stop Genji's too. Papoose could get the hammer down on him as he's popping his ultimate at this point. Now that he has that, Chico could punch him into a wall right as he's popping it as well. So a lot of ways they can counter it, but right now Crazy, it's his game to lose. If he doesn't get this this Dragon Blade off, it's going to be another long time before he can build another one.
And we are going to have a pause requested by the side of Volatile because I Am Racing Man is going to have some issues, but they should be right back into the game. So, what do you think Volatile has to do to be able to hold this 3rd point?
Well, at this point, they just got to get the hammer down on Crazy when he pops his ultimate. If they can do that, if they can get him in that stun, then he's not going to get that massive blade off. But there is another way that they can get that blade off, even if he does get hammered down. And that is in Transcendence from Maggie, which would be a little bit of a preemptive Transcendence. But remember, there isn't a Genji anymore on the side of Volatile. There actually isn't a Hanzo either, which means there isn't really a whole lot to use your ultimate defensively for, considering that Chico, on this Doomfist, could pop his slam onto all of them. So if he does pop that, there isn't a lot, he can't heal through that, right? It's a one-shot on most heroes. So that's their option on defense here. Not really much else they can do.
They just need to be aware of this Dragon Blade and be able to track it. And we're going to throw it back to the production host, Bryce T, to see what he has to say about this match so far.
I mean, so far, it's looking like Violet's really taking, a lot of what we mentioned earlier to heart. They are pushing up a little bit more aggressive against Volatile, and it seems like on that first point, they really weren't expecting that. And, a lot of what Overwatch comes down to, in my opinion, is momentum. And so for those first 2 matches, what we were really seeing was the momentum swinging in Volatile's favor. But now after, they're just over just under halfway to this final point on Numbani, the momentum is now swinging back in Violet's favor, and they're definitely playing well to that strength. But what's important, as you mentioned earlier, is the ult economy, and currently Violet does have the advantage. So it's going to come down to Volatile being able to counter either countering the ults that are being thrown at them or taking out those important picks to stop them from, from Violet rolling over them, because they have just under 3 minutes for this final push, so they don't need to dedicate all their ults to this initial push right here. They can wait just a little bit. Mr. Dreams almost has that self-destruct, easy peasy, very confident in his ability to build up that infrared sight. So that Genji might be waiting to pop that Dragon Blade until they can see everything. To see a good enough position to pop that Dragon Blade. But, AJ Stein, what are you seeing that Volatile is doing a lot better this time around?
Well, this time around, they've kind of... did you say Volatile? What they're doing better?
Sorry, Violet.
Violet. I figured you meant Violet, but I just want to clarify just in case you really did mean the other one. What they're doing better this time is coordination in terms, not just in terms of their ults, but in terms of their target calling. They're now getting on the right targets, and easy peasy is helping that a lot. I mean, we see it in the permanent kill feed here as we're sitting on the pause screen. He's getting the best of KNF right now and of some of the other members of Volatile. So that's basically kind of where we're aiming at this point, is that if they can continue that coordination, if they can continue to get those kills, those focused fired kills, then they're just going to they're going to kind of spread the other team around a little bit, and at that point they'll be able to keep pushing forward. Offense is meant to have the advantage in Overwatch all the way up through that point 3. So if you don't make it all the way to point 3, sometimes you know that there's either a mechanical issue or a coordination issue, and now that they've made it to point 3, we know that they've kind of solved that coordination issue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and they seem to be more in Volatile situation prior to the previous 2 matches that we've seen. At the moment, they do have the ability to sort of swing the momentum, and they do have the momentum in their favor, and they do have the ability to keep it. But as we've been saying, right now it is Volatile's game to lose. It is 2-0 right now. If Volatile wins this match, the finals is in their favor, but Volatile still has a fighting chance. We are getting readies from both teams, so I'm going to throw it back to you guys, and we'll unpause it and get right back into this fight.
All right, well, not much to say here. The game is just going to go ahead and start up here, and we're not really in the middle of a battle, but it just opened up with Easy Peasy getting that pick onto KNF. And I think we're going to actually see a little bit of a dive onto this back line at this point.
Violet moving onto the high ground to get ready, but the Zarya is there to try and protect their backline. Big slam from Propose, but Easy Peasy again gonna take him out before he can get anything done. And it seems like they're just gonna have to try and back up and then eventually get staggered. But Niffle does now have his grab. They're gonna pop the D.Va out of mech, so he's free to grab whenever. They did just pop the Meteor Strike, so that could be a miscommunication of when they could have grabbed and Meteor Strike, get that Space Jam, but it seems like they won't need it.
Yeah, Meteor Strike actually able to take out one of the members of Volatile, of Violet rather. So at the end of the day, it probably is worth it. But look at this Reinhardt. Papoose has kind of gone a little bit out of his way to stagger himself there. But Mr. Dreams getting taken out of his mech means that it might not be worth it. They might not get the advantage here that they would like.
Yeah, and Niffle still does have this grab, and that's a free grab because there is no D.Va mech to eat it. So that's going to be a quick 5 kills, make that 6. Quick team wipe, open and close fight.
Because they didn't need the Reinhardt. But that was, again, more of an economy push. They're a little bit low on ultimates here. Both Crazy and Ira Big Boy have their contending ultimates here. The Transcendence and the Dragon Blade are available. What I'd like to see, though, is this is a prime spot for D.Va bumps. If you can split that team up, then Papoose won't be able to shield his buddies away from that and catch him in the street. So I would look to see where that Mr. Dreams aims his bomb on this particular fight.
Easy Peasy's gonna get the early pickup on Chico, and here comes the D.Va bomb. It's just gonna give Zarya a lot of charge, and it seems that they're gonna use that charge to try and kill the Tracer to the backline, but Easy Peasy is going off on this Tracer, gets the opening pick, and then gets the third. Him and Eric are pushing Violet forward, Easy Peasy, and that's gonna be about all 6, and here comes the stagger from Volatile. There's the Doomfist in the backline, waiting to get on. There he goes, and he could be able to kill a Zenyatta. He's gonna miss the punch, so he's gonna have to Meteor Strike, just getting there in time. Dragon Blade from Crazy is gonna get Chico, and that's gonna be it. The Transcendence plus Dragon Blade is not much match to Stag.
Right, and that whole play opened up from that D.Va bomb, which did miss. It did charge Zarya a whole bunch, but the team was split, and that's when the dive took action. They took the folks who were on one half of the Dragon Strike and took them down. Took down Papoose and a couple others, and then they were able to clean up the rest on the point, getting them all the way to point 3, and this is what Violet really needed to do. They needed to turn around their dive and get to the end of this point. Now, they were with a minute, they were under a minute there with their time left, however, so that means that Volatile, Violet, Volatile, all these V names here, Sanok. But that means they are going to have a chance here to get it all the way to the end, and they will have up to the point of overtime to cap it and still have a chance to get the first tick on a second push.
Yeah, and having to get all the way through Nombani is not easy, especially when you are playing a Ryan Zarya into a dive, but it does look like they're going to be switching onto that dive comp. We have not seen a dive comp from them yet in this finals match.
Definitely, and what's interesting here is that we're going to see the first dive that we have seen today from them. This is very interesting here because Volatile, they've just been running Ryan Zarya the entire time here, so now they have dive. And also, what's also another interesting thing here is that counter dive, or just running dive on defense. Not a lot of teams do this. I've seen a lot in the last couple seasons, but it's still a very viable strategy, and that's what's happening here on the defense here, running the counter dive. That's going to put a lot of pressure on a potential Widow, but KNF, he's not on the Widow, he's on the Tracer, so they're going to have to find those tanks as they dive in.
This is old Season 6 dive if you trade Mercy main for a Zenyatta, but let's see how this old dive can fare in Season 10 or more Season 4 of OTC. And it looks like the dive is going to get pushed right back as Maggie's going to get 2.
Well, that's a really early, really early read on Maggie there, getting those couple early picks. But what is this on the push in here? Nipple kind of finding the Winston and the Genji. That's going to push him back pretty quickly. Wow.
Niffle and Pose was both very low, both around 15 HP, so they had to back up despite Niffle getting both of those kills. KNF is extremely low when he's trying to fight this Diva, which normally doesn't go well for a Tracer. Easy peasy gonna get the pick off on Chico, killing all the damage sources for Volatile, and it seems like that should end the fight, but they're still pushing hard, and now that the Mercy is dead, they should be a reset. There's just a Winston, Diva, and Lucio left in this fight against 5.
Yeah, it's time to reset it here. Right now, they're just taking their time, and this is probably not a very winnable fight at this point. Time to back it up. They do recognize that and start backing up. And one thing that I didn't mention here at the start of this is that they are running Lucio. IR Big Boy's running on this Lucio instead of a Zenyatta. And I think that's the damage difference that we're seeing now. With Maggie N on this Zenyatta, they're actually able to get a lot more damage through that Discord orb that Maggie is putting on the target. So they're going to have to find that extra damage somehow with this Lucio.
Lucio does have that mass healing to try and help with that damage. Diva Bomb's going to get popped, but nothing's going to happen. It's actually going to leave the Diva not around to help protect their Mercy. Both Mercies are going to get traded now, and now it's a battle of very minimal healing. Lucio does have more healing than Zenyatta, but Maggie does have her ultimate. But it seems like they're going to say, actually they're going to use it. They're going to try and contest this point. They're going to use 3 ultimates here to try and contest a Valk, a Transcendent, and a Primal Rage, all very good at stalling. And it seems like it might work out. It is trading back and forth. It is 2 tanks and a Mercy versus 2 tanks and a Tracer. And it seems like the Mercy's gonna get taken out. And that finally, after using those ultimates, it seems that Violet's gonna win, but Chico's coming back with the kill on Angel. Now they have no healing. It seems now that Volatile's gonna win the fight.
Oh man, I mean, and this is still going on here is Mr. Dreams just getting taken out there on the point, and Easy Peasy going to try to stall a little bit longer, but they are definitely outnumbered at this point. That is going to probably be the point. But a minute extra on the stall there, all thanks to Maggie and Angel's plays there. Maggie popping that Transcendence, which kept Eric alive, and then Angel able to get the res onto Mr. Dreams on the Diva, which he was able to remech, hold that point a little bit longer. And right now, I think their goal is pretty much just to buy time. With dive versus dive, what's interesting is that there isn't a whole lot of ults that you can use just to kind of wipe out the other team. Now, Mr. Dreams is on the Zarya, though, so at this point, I think they're going to be looking for that grab. It's going to take a while to build it up, though, here, Sunhawk.
Yeah, they do have Crazy on the Dragon. They do have Crazy on that Dragon Blade, so that is the one ultimate that you can team wipe with. So let's see how he's going to use it, because they are close to a Diva Bomb, or a Primal Rage, just to push him away from his possible targets. And KNF's gonna get the early pick on Easy Peasy when he goes on that flank. He just walked in at almost 1 clipped, and here's the Dragon Blade, but he has to stay away for a few seconds because of that Dragon Blade. And now the Lucio boop to keep away. The Lucio boops him and then speeds him and his Mercy away. That was huge. And Crazy's not gonna be able to get anything done with his ultimate, but luckily Maggie's gonna get 2. Make that 3. Maggie with the 3K to win the fight despite Crazy getting nothing with his ultimate.
Oh man, they really split them up there, and that was a big problem. The dive got baited into this tiny little underpass, and they were able to clean them up there by just basically having more numbers. So basically, it's one interesting thing there. Definitely don't have too much time to talk about it. We'll talk about it a little later.
So, if you take a look at the ultimate economy for Violet, they have both the support ultimates, which can be good if the other team is going in for a dive, and there we go. Transcendence and the Valkyrie pop at the same time. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication, but it still should be able to win the fight. It's just a matter of, was it an over-investment? Maggie getting the pick on Chico, and it seems like that's going to be the fight. Maggie getting 2 before you pick off.
Where was this Violet team before here, Sunhawk, on the last 2 maps? Because these guys look completely different now. But I think maybe New Bonnie feels a little more like home to them. You know, this is where they're able to really execute this dive. Probably the best dive map that we've seen so far. So now, what's interesting also is this Zarya on defense, which is very strange. You know, usually you see Winston Diva, but the Zarya, you know, he's coming up on a grab. That might be all they need here to wrap this fight up on the second point.
Now this is super old dive, the Winston Zarya dive. That is super old dive, and now we go crazy on this Dragon Blade, but he's again not going to be able to get anything. Chico got more with his shurikens and a dash. Make that a 4K from Chico without even the Dragon Blade.
It's all coordination. Chico just happened to get the final blows on that one. He was just able to push in really well. And yeah, crazy. He's just getting shut down right now, which is unexpected. Usually you see that Zenyatta as the shutdown mechanism for Genji. It just tends to be that yin and yang of Transcendence and Dragon Blade we've talked about pretty much all day today. Probably a little overemphasized it today, but now the defense does have that Graviton Surge. There isn't a whole lot of time, maybe 2 or 3 pushes for the offense here, and it's looking a little bit sketchy for them, I think, with no ultimates in their bank.
And here comes the grab from the side of Violet, and there's really nothing to help with it. So Volatile is going to get more picks out of the enemy grab than the team that used the grab is. So the ults for Volatile, they have both of their DPS ults to try and finish this off, and it looks like they're not going to need them. They're only going to have to use them for the stagger. There's a key charge from Eric on to propose. He was just 300 health, so he was able to die, and there is going to be no res available for him. But KNF is gonna be able to get another pick before he launches this dragon into spawn, and Chico gets a 3K with that Dragon Blade. So the Dragon Strike is just gonna be there to pop it into spawn, and it seems like it's not even gonna matter. This crazy is on that Doomfist and is unable to touch.
Wow, that was so unexpected, Sunhawk. They are able to cap that with more time on the clock here than Violet. What was looking like only 9 seconds more, but still, what was looking like a dominating scene by Violet just kind of fell apart in that last push. They weren't able to really pop. They died with their Zenyatta ult there. They had the ult advantage as well, and they had a lot of things going for them. But somehow, some way, it's just Volatile was able to push through this here, and now they're switching sides again. Violet's going to have to push on to this point quickly, and it looks like they're kind of eyeing the GOAT comp there, the 3 heal, 3 tank comp.
Yeah, you do see the beginning of it with the double support, and propose on that Orisa. They're not doing goats, they're doing a Bastion defense on Nubani. It's more popular on Nubani than other maps because you have these high grounds for this Bastion, and if it does come to a pirate ship battle, then you can try and win it with your own Bastion.
Alright, I'm in a little bit of stunned silence here. It's a double shield Bastion. You know, that is something that definitely can absorb a triple comp, but that Bastion's gonna have to get on that point at some point to get line of sight if they decide to hold just right under the Bastion. That's the strategy here. Get right under that wall. Where is everybody?
They were hiding, trying not to reveal their comp, and now they're gonna have to drop on the low ground because that with that shield. So here comes the Bastion. It's tearing apart everything. Has to hop out of tank, out of turret mode to regen and move to some cover, but he already did his job. He picked off the D.Va. Easy peasy's not done yet. Taking out his counterpart on the other team, but KNF and Chico are going to clean up, and they're going to be able to hold this. And there's not really going to be any time for stagger, as their fastest character, Angel, is out. But we do see this Moira forced to retreat. Let's see if they will be able to touch. Easy peasy switches onto the trace, but they're still all the way at spawn. This Moira is actually going to come to the side and going to be able to touch in now. The Moira touches, and here we go. The team fight is out and underway, and they're going to reposition this Bastion just so that they don't know where they is. They crazy pops to the switch to the Pharah. That's not going to be enough, as there are already 3 picks, makes that 4. This should be a full hold for Volatile.
The irony here, of course, is that Dive would have won against this composition because that Bastion was all alone up top. Even if they decided to kind of keep people up there at top of them, again, Dive can kind of hold the low ground pretty well, a little bit more mobile. That was the perfect counter to what I would consider an unexpected GOAT comp. But maybe Violent knows, or Volatile, maybe they know something I don't about this Violet team. But now we could be sitting on draw here. There is a chance for a full hold. Violet's gonna have to think of some kind of strategy to do it. And wait, is that an Orisa there? Are we gonna see a similar set? No, it looks like Hanzo Junkrat instead.
Great, so even more spam. It doesn't matter which character you choose, there's still spam all over the place. And it seems that Volatile are gonna be running a somewhat GOATs comp.
Somewhat GOATs. Well, you know, it's mostly good. It's
Triple tank, triple support.
triple tank, triple support, the triple, the no DPS,
It's the triple double.
Yeah, exactly. And you know,
Oh, it's a double triple. Yeah, it's a double triple.
double triple. Okay.
Double.
You know,
triple.
whatever it's called. Let's focus on the defense here. What's interesting about this kind of change up here is that this also is a pretty good counter to the GOAT rush. A lot of people are running this GOATs comp just to do these 1-minute fights, and it looks like teams are just anticipating that now. But another thing that's interesting on the defense here, only one healer, and that is Angel on this Mercy. We're gonna have to see if she can pull this off, because it's a lot to do. It's a lot to keep people up with just one healer.
And the only person that can self-heal is that Roadhog, and here we go. Here's your minute, and no one's actually coming down to touch on the point. There we go, there's the Roadhog, and there is the entire team of Violet now on the point. But it seems that Angel's gonna get taken down, so they have no heals whatsoever besides Roadhog's self-heal. And well, the key word in that sentence is self. He can only heal himself. So it seems that that should just be the end of the fight right there. And then it seems that Volatile have won. They are your Season 4 EU champions.
Oh, wow, what a difference in pushes there. The excitement of that final push was just all over the place, getting under them. So as they jumped down, they were jumping into the blender of that Reinhardt Brigitte, which is what this wasn't what was executed on the opposite side of things. We can see these Graviton Surge here, you know, with that Winston making quite a bit of a difference there. Very interesting composition, of course, and as you mentioned, used a lot earlier. But wow, just what a difference it can make to just have that different positioning there.
Niffle with 67% kill participation on top of his 100%. Game. And he is now on the winning team of the EU finals. Volatile is going to take first place, and Violet is going to take a still solid second place.
Solid indeed. And let's throw it over here to Bryce and try to figure out what just happened there at the end.
Okay, wow. A lot to unpack from that final push on both ends. Volatile running the Bastion. Again, you guys brought that up a lot, and I think Violet was just as surprised as we were running into that. I mean, we saw, you know, both teams really pushing that final point together, but Volatile came out on top with not only their defense but their attack. It was so coordinated when they were coming out from that lower building that Violet, again, seemed a little bit late jumping down. The Volatile almost managed to capture the point entirely before Violet was able to jump down and contest that point. They were able to hold it fairly well, but, you know, the late picks began to be thrown into Volatile's favor, and Violet just seemed to come up a little bit short on that. And it again, Violet, they did manage to again step up their game. As you mentioned, it was a different Violet than we were seeing from a majority of this series before. But Volatile again, they managed to take it a step further, switching around their defense a little bit. And we like to talk. The talks of metas and meta comps have been thrown around a lot. And as a caster and a watching Overwatch games, it always excites me to see a comp that's a little out of it's a little bit out of the meta when you see a Mei or a Bastion or as much as it pains me to say it, a Torb in that comp that when the team they're running up against doesn't really have much of a response to, or they don't have the time to respond to it. As we saw, Violet really only had time for 2 solid pushes and then maybe a little bit of a stagger, but they weren't really able to counter Chico on that Bastion. I am, again, just to cut you off, but again, I'm almost as speechless as you were watching that last point of defense. What do you guys have to say in terms of remarks about that last push from both sides?
Again, I was speechless about the Bastion play. I was trying to process what the strategy there was if they were running against Dive, because at the end of the day, Dive is probably going to sit on that point, and you're going to have to jump down, and then that leaves your Bastion exposed, and they're down. But apparently, both teams have really been practicing that last minute to be that 3-3 comp, that 3 tank, 3 healer comp, and both had different approaches to how to counter it. At the end of the day, though, the team that went under where they were perched up top was the one that won. Although you could argue, too, that the team with the Bastion was the one that won, too, a little bit. I think both sides of it definitely had merit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And Sunhawk?
At most, teams would just collapse under the pressure of having 1 minute left, but they both did have 1 minute left, so that must have been a cooling factor, cooling them down, saying, okay, we're both going through this right now. So it seems that everyone just kind of panicked a bit with their team comps, but it seems like they did practice those comps.
Mm-hmm. We definitely saw that on Volatile's end. As we mentioned before, it did seem sort of like a slow burn in Violet's favor. They were pushing very, smartly and aggressively on attack during their initial push. But again, it seemed to slow a bit down. And as that momentum that I mentioned earlier, it swung back into Volatile's favor. And that was really what gave them the ability to, hold that point. But as we, wind down, very important to mention here, let's start doling out, MVPs for that round. Do you guys have any input on that for, your personal MVPs for this match?
I would have to go with, I would say, Chico from Volatile, who has decided to join us. But here, let's have a nice chat with Chico.
Exactly. So,
Bryce, you take it away.
So, Chico, captain of Volatile, we brought him for that. Congratulations on your win. Volatile is now Season 4 EU champions. How are you feeling, Chico?
I am feeling amazing. I have one thing to say, and this is a bit of a team thing. Clapers. My team will understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We love inside jokes.
Okay. So, kind of run us through the mindset that was going on in Volatile's comms when you decided to run that Bastion on the final hold.
Okay, well, we were just like, okay, they only have a minute. What do we do? And then I think someone suggested Bastion, and it was like Mercy or something. So we were just like, you know what? Screw it. Let's play Bastion. And then we sort of like picked the comp around it. We were just like, okay, let's have a double shield or a hog. And and our Zen player had like a really good idea to hide inside, and it paid off.
Mm-hmm. Extremely well. We saw the Violet. They ran straight to point, and were sort of as dumbfounded as we were when we were wondering, okay, well, where's Volatile?
Yeah.
They time's kicking down. They only have about a minute to push. Every second counts in that situation, and they seem to be just as surprised as we were when Volatile came crashing down from the top ropes, and that Bastion got set up. They
Yeah.
were just as confused as we were. But again, explain, go through a little bit more of the mindset that you guys had, the difference of sort of resistance that you guys had the first 2 points where it seemed the momentum was in Volatile's favor, and then around Numbani where, as that being the map that Violet picked, you guys seem to be coming, a little bit butting heads a little bit more.
Yeah, Numbani is a map we're not very confident on. We didn't play it a lot, and I think since they chose it, we were expecting them to be quite strong on it, and their dive is very good, and they played it on every point. So we were sort of, I think we fell away from our normal team play because it was a lot closer than normal, and I think that's what sort of brought it to be a lot more even.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, a lot of what seemed to be working better for Volatile was you guys managed to be able to, sort of communicate your ults and your positioning, more effectively than Violet. We saw, multiple Dragon Surges working well for your team, and that can put a lot of strain on your comms. But your tank line especially, and a lot of as we mentioned on Route 66, they sort of seem to be the unsung heroes in Overwatch. They do provide a lot of cover for not only the healers but the DPSs as well. And again, it did come down to when it between these we like to call them the inner ults battles. That was where both teams sort of seemed to be very evenly matched. But when it came down to comboing ults and communicating ults, that's where you guys seem to shine more.
Yeah, you've got to give credit to both our tank players, Niffle and Tarek. They don't get credit. They don't get all the credit they deserve. They're out there giving me and Ken enough space, but then also they're protecting our backline, and then they're making plays at the same time. I mean, there was a bit of a misplay where that Diva bomb on Route 66 was a bit of a misplay, but apart from that, they're insane, and they definitely don't get the recognition.
Definitely, and I agree wholeheartedly. And even on Violet's end, there was a lot of it would, as the match did end up being a 3-0 sweep, but that's not to say that it wasn't a tough round for you guys. We did see a lot of missteps on both sides, but again, Volatile coming out with the 3-0 win against Violet. Do you have any sort of closing remarks, Chico, before we let you go?
Well, I don't want to be that person who everyone hates, but just easy clap.
Toxic.
Well, as Season 4 wraps up in the EU division for Volatile, undefeated season, walking away with the championship. Sunhawk and HX9, do you guys have any final remarks before we wrap this up?
Despite being a 3-0, it was a close game. Some people will look at the scoreboard and think, oh, Volatile / Raijin completely swept, unfair, except that all these games were pretty close despite them going undefeated, and congratulations, undefeated is harder than it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing to add. Congratulations, Chico. It was fun watching you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for Season 4 Overtime Champions EU Division. As we wind down, remember, Season 5 has already started, and the games are back-to-back packed for this season. It's definitely something that you do not want to miss as we start off Season 5 strong. Just to close down, I've been Bryce T, your host for the evening, morning, or afternoon, depending on where it is you're watching from. Sunhawk has been your play-by-play. HX9 has been your color. Shout out to Maui for producing this game.
Yeah, Maui!
And again, what a fantastic series of games it was. I hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you in Season 5.
I'm here where endless meets the end.